No, that's I think one of the things that we're doing here is processing through what are the pieces that you need
Yes.
to understand in order to have confidence to be able to pull the trigger.
Right.
Right. So there's a piece that is financing, right? And then it's not just financing the initial property, but it's financing the initial property in such a way that you can continue to scale.
Right.
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 And so one of the things that you mentioned is seasoning. So first, what is it? And then how does it affect you? Seasoning is just how long you've owned the property. So if you buy the property right now, right, and you have to have a 6-month seasoning because of your future lender, that means you can't refinance it until January, right? Because that's 6 months back. Now, what's important to understand about seasoning is it's not dictated by your initial loan provider, whether that's private, hard money, or conventional. It's dictated by the future lender. So if your future lender is going to give you a 6-month seasoning period, then you're dictated by them, not by any other lender that you have. Okay. So that then helps you understand, okay, well, then who would give me certain types of loan terms that include seasoning? And in order to answer that question, it's helpful to kind of generalize certain loan types. If let's say it's a conventional loan,
Yeah.
between the two main types, there's conventional and there's commercial or DSCR. Conventional loans, generally, those are going to be backed by, they're going to be Freddie Mae, Fannie Mae, or Fannie Mac products. And they require a 6-month loan or a 6-month season period.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really generally what you're going to experience on the primary, if it's on your name.
Right.
There are some lenders that will do less than that. Generally, the rule of thumb is expect a 6-month seasoning period if it's a conventional loan. You might be able to find lenders that do it. That's totally fine. If you wanted to understand whether or not you're going to do that or be able to do that, I would go ahead and start calling lenders now. Say, hey, I'm planning on buying, I'm doing this investing process. Here's how it works. You guys probably know it. The BRRRR process. When I want to refinance, what's your seasoning period? In fact, I would just spam email, I don't know, 20, 30 different lenders and say, hey, what's your seasoning period? I'm considering you guys for refinancing a property that I'm working on. And you don't have to go into detail, but what's your seasoning period? And maybe you ask them what's your minimum loan amount, just so that you know whether or not they're an option for you. Right. All right. And then they might email back and say, hey, we don't have a seasoning period. That might be worth a conversation for you to have with them. So that's one side. The other side is you get a DSCR product, because a lot of those institutions that are lending money on a DSCR product, they don't require seasoning. And so you could refinance one day later if you wanted to.
And that's kind of what and that DSCR, is that hard money?
It's more of a commercial lender. Some hard money lenders will have this product. DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratio. So it's what they care about instead of DTI.
Right.
And it's the difference between these two is a commercial loan, they care about the asset, not the individual. They don't care about the borrower. They care about the asset. So are they going to be, how much confidence and safety do they have in securing their loan with this asset, right? If they agree to give you a $500 loan and you say, I tell you what, I'll give you first lien on my $1 million home. It's fully paid off, right? That's a lot of confidence that they have, right? A lot of security. They know they're going to get paid off. Now, if you said, I'll give you first lien position on my paid off home that's worth $100,000, but I want you to give me a $500,000 loan, that's a lot more risky for them. Yeah. And so the way that they evaluate that is debt service coverage ratio. And essentially, this is answering the question of the debt that I'm giving you, how much of that is going to be covered by your monthly income? So let's say you've got $1,100 of operating income and your monthly mortgage payment's $1,000. That is 1,100 divided by 1,000. Your DSCR is going to be 1.1. Most lenders want a DSCR somewhere in the 1.1 to 1.3. I'm seeing it even as low as 1.0 lately. So 1.0 to 1.3. And if you're buying a cash flowing property, this number is going to be 2.5, 3. I've never, not for any of my properties, have I ever had an issue on a DSCR loan with the DSCR requirement, because we're buying cash flowing properties. What this is really used to protect against, from their perspective, is people that are kind of armchair investors, don't really know what they're doing, and say they buy in a high appreciation market when they're really going for cash flow, and they realize their monthly payment's $2,400 a month, but they can only rent out the property for $1,950. Right? Their DSCR is very, very low. Right? It's going to be in the 0.6, right? That allows them to say, this is not something that we're comfortable with, because if you lose your job, you can't pay this mortgage for longer than whatever you have in savings.
Right.
Right. So that's what a DSCR loan would do. Now, the other thing to ask is, do you have to refinance to continue scaling? And there's a couple schools of thought here, and some of it can depend on your own personal preferences. One is, yes, I want to refinance my first property before I start on the second property so that I can go through the entire cycle and feel comfortable about it, and then I can really scale, right? In that case, you would have a 6-month window if you had a 6-month seasoning. That would just be the timeline for your first property to second property. But you don't have to wait to refinance to start your next property. All right. So if you're using a private money lender, they care about the asset too. They don't care about your numbers, your DTI. You're not using a conventional loan. So if this private money lender that's lent you, say it's $70,000 for your first property, and you're in the process of just letting it season, you've got it rented out and you're just waiting for it to season. As long as you can cover those monthly payments, those monthly interest payments, then you're fine. Right. If you've rented it out, let's say they give you a $70,000 loan at 12%, you're paying 1% a month. So $700 a month. So as long as you're renting it out for, I'd say 2x of what that payment is for $1,400 a month in order to cover the rest of your expenses, then I think you're fine. Okay. You're going to be breaking even. You're not going to be really truly cash flowing and money coming into your pocket every month, but you're at least protected, right, from not being able to make your payment. And then in 6 months, you can really start cash flowing. In the meantime, you can take out another private money loan and start your next property.
Okay.
Right. So there's a lot of options there, because the private money loans are not recorded or reported to credit bureaus. That's not going to affect any of your lending ability.